What's up, everyone? Tournament Tactics Week 6 is upon us.
Jeez.
We're taking a look at all of the positions. We're going to break it down. We're going to talk some tournament strategies. We got the Quad Goat community together for this one. Josiah, wow, Shark Lab. What's up, fellas?
Hey, guys.
It's flying by. It's week 6. What the heck?
Crazy. It's like a whirlwind, the NFL season. You blink, it's week 6. You're going to blink again, it's going to be week 12.
Mm-hmm.
It's time to take advantage. A lot of news. So I want to go over a couple of news items before we really get into the breakdown. Number one, Jahmyr Gibbs out.
I don't care about that. I know you do.
It matters. It does matter. Montgomery matters. That's important. Now, I know one that you care about the most, Josiah.
Nope.
Sanders is out. Chuba Hubbard coming in for the full workload. You're nodding your head no.
I don't care about that either. It's just like my fandom of being a Panthers fan is like hanging on by a string or a thread or whatever you want to say. Like I am this close from kicking them off and becoming maybe like a Chiefs fan or something else. But I'm still a Panthers fan, but the Miles Sanders news going against Miami, I don't even know if we'll be able to keep this game kind of close. So I don't care about Hubbard.
So many teams about to get an ass whooping today. You know, you could join me, and because my team was green, I just said, Jets, Eagles, kind of the same.
Ugh. All the blue teams suck too, like Lions, Colts, Seattle. Like that's not any better.
Both fan bases hate the Giants. All good.
Yeah, that's true.
That was for me. So wait. There's more news. So Chuba, we got Deshaun Watson out. Don't want to play. He's not hurt. He just doesn't want to play.
I mean, do you want to play this Niners defense? Like, I mean,
no,
I wouldn't either.
Scared. I'd be scared too.
Mm-hmm.
So we got a PJ. 49ers all in defense, BobbyWow. Can we pay up?
Yeah, you could pay up.
I was not expecting you to say that.
A lot of news, Geek. A lot of news.
So much news. Am I forgetting something? So I'm just trying to go through this.
Bears.
That's the biggest one.
That was the last one. The biggest one of all and the most relevant.
Yeah.
All the running backs. By the way, I'm just going to say this because I saw a lot of people talking about Roshan in the beginning of the week. Let us now accept the new dynamic in the NFL. If a player gets they're not playing the next week. If he is concussed this week, he will not play next week. That has only happened once so far this season, and that was a Thursday to Monday time frame. They are not going to play. So the Bears are down to D'Onta Foreman at home.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people going to want to play D'Onta Foreman because they're like, no one likes a 4K running back. Something about it makes you feel icky when you play it.
Except for us. We like it a little bit.
I just want, I'm just only going to list the BobbyWow on this one. If you tell me that I can play him, I am all about it. I will tell you this. D'Onta Foreman's a talented guy, and he was good last year.
You can play him.
What was he on the Falcons or the Panthers?
I thought it was the Panthers.
He was on the Panthers. I don't remember if it was last year or not, though.
He does like 1 or 2 weeks a year where he comes in and reminds everyone that he could be good.
Yeah.
And then he goes back to irrelevant. This is one of those weeks.
Sorry. He's only 27, so he's not that old or anything like that either. So not too much.
Foreman didn't have a lot of I remember him because I drafted him in Dynasty. So again, I follow his career very closely. And what happened is D'Onta Foreman in his first year ruptured the Achilles, the career ender that Dobbs just had. The reason it didn't end D'Onta Foreman's career is because it happened when he was like 23. It took him almost, I'm going to say 3 full years to get back to sort of like normal, which is why a 26-year-old Dobbs or a 25-year-old Dobbs is in a lot of trouble. I'm going to answer Andrew Miller. When I talk about bump guys on the optimizer, anybody with a 4 or 5 star on my sheet, that is what I intend. I am putting that there. So on my cheat sheet that I give out to DFS Army subscribers and VIPs each week, if you see 4 or 5 stars, those are the ones we're going to build around. So I do want to bump them up, bump up their projection.
I can't believe those Foreman games were last year. It feels like that was years ago. But yeah, he had gigantic games on the Panthers. Like,
yep.
That was just
that's what I'm saying. This is not a player that's not good. He's, I always thought he was a really good running back. It's going to be a little weathery in Chicago, I'm hearing, on Sunday. So we might have some. You're saying no?
Don't believe that. Don't believe that garbage.
Yeah, I don't.
It's Chicago, man.
It's always windy. What's the difference, right? Okay, so to that backdrop, I'm going to put on screen the Domination Station game tile so we can kind of look at what the totals and the spreads kind of look like for this week's slate, and then I want to, then from there, I kind of want to talk through which games we're targeting, go person by person, QB stacks, and just which games you're really looking to attack from a QB wide receiver perspective. All right, so we're going to go around, and let's start with you, Josiah. This week we've got, a couple of interesting spots in terms of higher totals, like just the Miami side or the Rams, but every other game's under 45 or lower. Yeah. So talk to me about where you're going, sort of as your lead stack for the week in attacking tournaments.
Yeah, it's an interesting week, as we already started to allude to. I can't wait to see who Burns and Bob are on. First, shout out to you, BobbyWow, for getting that Joe Burrow call last week. That was awesome. Everyone was scared of him being injured and not playing. But I'm willing to go right back to him. He looked really good last week. I like this matchup against Seattle. He's probably my favorite quarterback this week. So I'll just start there. And let the other
I think he's going to be super popular. I'll actually roll to the QB position and sort by ownership because I'm always curious.
He should be at the top.
Oh my goodness. I don't even buy this. But Burrow to Chase, I think, will be the most popular stack this week. Burrow's priced down a little bit, kind of like a weirdly priced down. Like, I'm surprised he's 6,300. Burrow seems more like BobbyWow. How is Burrow different than, I don't know, Cousins?
No, and he looked good last week. I feel like we talked on the show about Burrow, and his numbers shot up like the next day. So I don't know. There's some influence going on that you have here, Geek, but
it ain't me.
It's tough, man.
It's you guys. I'm just listening.
He is getting up there in ownership, and that makes it so much harder to play a guy like him. But no, it is a great call though, Josiah. I don't see anything wrong with that outside of the ownership piece.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, Geek, like my next low owned quarterback that I like is Kirk Cousins. So I'm playing the chalky Burrow, and then alongside that, I'm playing Cousins as like my low owned GPP quarterback.
The Cousins side would appeal to Burns as he is the favored quarterback in that game.
Yeah.
So he's nodding his head. Burns is nodding over there. But how about you, Burns? And I like that you went high owned and low owned, Josiah. And we'll kind of let's keep that going a little bit here. So there aren't that many, in my opinion, viable quarterbacks on this. A lot of them look gross. I still can't believe that Stafford is projecting as one of the higher owned ones. But okay.
Yeah, it really does. I'm surprised he is. I thought I was going to be alone on that one this week. I do like him a lot, and I like his pass catchers. I like Kupp and I like Nakua in this one. But I thought I was going to be alone on this one. I thought he was going to be about 2 or 3% owned, but I guess not this week. So, to pivot, man, even Trevor Lawrence is pricey. Like in terms of ownership, he's over 10%. I think you got to go under 10% this week. A guy like Justin Fields. It's starting to look like he can do some damage this week at low ownership, under 10%. Another guy that's popping for me is Gardner Minshew this week, going down into Jacksonville. He's actually playing in Jacksonville where, he played for Jacksonville before. So he knows Jacksonville. He knows the fans. So it's almost like a homecoming for him. But Gardner Minshew, stack him up with Downs, stack him up with Pittman. I love it.
The fans loved Minshew in Jacksonville. Like, he's a hero when he shows up, and they still like Minshew down there.
They do.
Like, the Jacksonville people, they love Minshew. He's one of them.
Can we talk about Fields a little bit?
Yeah.
Like, this feels like this is probably the toughest challenge he's had since his 2-game hot streak. I would say Minnesota's defense, they have improved a good bit since last year. And I would say who's the Bears have faced Denver and Washington, 2 teams that give up a lot of points to the quarterback. So I am a little bit nervous about Fields. Like, this is really the big test I'm putting him in. I'm not as high on him as I think you guys are.
Actually, Chicago's defense is against the pass is really bad. They give up, I think, in accordance with Statsational's chart, it's like over 60 points in
yards.
More, yeah, like 60 yards greater than what the median or the mean is.
So an average passing attack would any team would expect to put up 60 more yards passing against the Bears compared to their team average. That's what that
I would say too, most of those points have come at the wide receivers getting a lot more points. Quarterback performance has still been kind of average. So that's kind of why Justin Fields can break that mold, but that does feel like a big test for him this week to see if he can really do it. I think he can, but nervous.
What I love about Fields, Josiah, in terms of tournaments is it's such a clear stack. Like, you don't have to really overthink it. It's not like almost every other situation you have a lot of. Think of the math of this. Okay. So you're not just needing to hit the right quarterback, but now you have to hit him with the right pass catcher. This is the challenge with certain quarterbacks that have a lot of guys that they throw to. It's kind of, your each guess is sort of cutting down your percentage chance of being right. With Fields, I don't think it's a gap. It's like DJ Moore and Cole Kmet, and that's it. That's just it. You could have them both with him, one, the other, or both. But if Fields is hitting, one of those other 2 is hitting, and sometimes both of them will hit. That's what I like, those kind of situations. I like clear cut. That way, as I mix, if I run that same lineup 12 times, now I don't have to, like, I'm cutting myself down to 50%. It's just your percent chances of hitting the right combinations are higher when in those concentrated offenses. How about you, BobbyWow? What are you thinking this week in terms of the QB position? Obviously, we talked about Burrow already and Fields. Love both of them. Cousins great. Minshew down below. A little bit of Lawrence. Anybody you're on the off the beaten track path for here, BobbyWow?
I think you guys covered everyone that I love. I love Justin Fields this week. He's going to end up around 8K soon. If not next week, maybe the following week. He's in a great spot. I love Kirk Cousins as the lower owned option. The Bears stink against the pass. They are getting their better players back in the secondary. So, again, maybe a little bit of reason not to, but Kirk Cousins is going to air the football out without JJ or not. So not worried about JJ being out necessarily. I think in terms of off the beaten path, probably 2 guys that I'm a little bit interested in. Again, nothing crazy here, but Bryce Young, I have a little bit of interest in. I know it's gross. It's ugly.
Horrible.
He'll be low owned, rightfully so. But the path to a lot of throws and a lot of points will be there for him. So a little bit of interest in Bryce Young. And I'll say this, a little bit of interest in Jared Goff as well. He's got Amon-Ra coming back to practice. He's got Sam Laporta, I think, also return to practice. I understand the Bucs aren't great, but if Baker Mayfield decides to show up for a game, this could turn into a little bit of a higher scoring affair than I think it's projected as. So Jared Goff would be my other off the beaten path guy, getting his full slate of healthy pass catchers back.
That Bryce Young call, Bobby. I started to shake a little bit just out of nerves. I was like, oh, that can't be real. But the game script makes so much sense. One guy that we didn't talk a lot about is Tua. And I feel like the Panthers, they've been banged up all season. They have another safety who just went down who's going to be out. Woods, I believe. And so I think Tua in that offense is going to be able to get all the points that they can possibly score against the Panthers defense. The counterbalance, like you said, Bobby, is will Bryce Young and the offense be able to keep up to make Tua's price tag actually make sense? I'm playing Tua, which makes Bryce Young make a little bit more sense, but I'm still not sold.
I have a feeling, guys, that this week, again, we might see another repeat where one of these wackadoodle quarterbacks that you're not expecting. Like last week, no one played Des Ridder, but if you had, you could have won this tournament like that. It took Des Ridder. Who the hell would have thought? But it was him. You know what I mean? Like no one played it. It didn't even matter, which is crazy considering the 700,000 entries in the Millie Maker most weeks, but nobody played him. And so the winning lineup didn't have that guy. But yeah, I mean, I don't hate that thought in terms of Goff. Even Geno Smith, who I have not played or even thought about playing all season long, I guess in the other side of that game, it might be interesting. I just, as I go down, I mean, yeah, Michael Dixon in the comments was talking about Mac Jones. You know, Mac Jones in week 1 put up a big score. Like it did happen. And he's been playing better defense. You know, imagine just, I don't know. I guess imagine that. Wouldn't it be crazy?
Who are you going to stack him with?
That's the problem with Mac Jones. And that's what ruins him.
Is there a risk of him getting benched or something like that too?
It is. So I'm gonna put this over to you, Michael Dixon, right? And the Mac Jones believer. Just like I just said before, how great it is to play Fields, because at least I know if I play his 2 primaries, I'm probably gonna hit. Even if Cole Kmet misses, he probably hits for enough. You know what I mean? Like if you play his 2 primary guys, fine. With Mac Jones, it's like, where are you going? Devontae Parker, Demario Douglas, I don't know. You know, Kendrick Bourne, maybe. Hunter Henry, I guess. Like it's just, you don't know. And then it turns out to be after all that, it's like Juju Smith-Schuster or you know, Michael Gesicki went crazy. You just can't. It's a very, very tough situation. Plus the guy sucks, and I think he's an asshole. He's not just ass, Swaggy P. I think he might be an asshole.
Damn, you're coming for a whiny face, like out of nowhere.
What's that?
So you're coming for a whiny
face. You know what he reminds me of, and this is, you know what? Shame on me because you're right. I don't know him, Josiah. He reminds me of the football version of Grayson Allen. That's what he reminds me of.
That's so spot on, though.
It's so dirty, like so many cheap shots, so much whining, like just got that whiny face. So I don't know him. That's just my perception.
You know, like I've heard some things. Now I hate this is that one part of the analysis that it's really kind of weird and because you're not in the when the players don't like somebody, I don't know why. Mm-hmm. But when it's a quarterback and you kind of get the sense that the teammates don't like them, that's not good. And that I can only assume that you're an asshole. If you're the quarterback and your teammates don't really like. Now I'm not saying I don't know and I don't have information, but I've heard that.
That's fair.
There have been murmurs.
Yeah, I you know, it's a weird
one
thing.
more guy we didn't really talk a lot about is Trevor Lawrence against this Colts defense that we've been able to pick on throughout most of this season. I think he's definitely viable here as well as a potential stack option.
I want to talk up Gardner Minshew for a minute. So I'm going to take a second here to pump up Gardner Minshew because he, of course, you mentioned him, but I want to emphasize the mention for a second. I think Gardner Minshew is a really good play. You know, Jacksonville is good against the run. They can stop the run fairly well. The last game that Gardner Minshew played, he peppered targets. I think Josh Downs got 11 targets in that one. Josh Downs is sub 4K or right at that 4K range on DraftKings this week. So the stack, throw everything aside, you combine, and of course Michael Pittman's there in the mid 6 range. So if Minshew's having a good game, I can get him with both of his wide receivers. The price of the stack is super cheap. Opens up a hell of a lot of options in your lineup if you choose to go that way. With all that being said, I think it is Fields, Burrow, and Minshew in terms of expensive, medium, and low as the primaries, and pretty much everybody else we've mentioned as a secondary. Nobody talked about, I mean, you mentioned Stafford a little bit, but do we think Stafford can really hold as the highest owned quarterback on the slate? I can't. That will blow my mind. My head's going to explode if that happens.
He's in a good spot. I mean, it's The ingredients are all there. So I would not be surprised if he finishes double-digit ownership.
Really?
Really. Cooper Kupp's back. People didn't believe last week.
Man, where's
But
the
they're
recent-
bought in now. All it took was last week. The Kupp
and-
looked really good, and Puka looked really good together. I think that's all it took.
They did. I mean, I'm not going to deny it. Yeah, they both look good. For some reason, all of their wide receivers look great, and yet somehow I don't find myself ever wanting to play the quarterback. It is a very expensive stack.
Yeah.
It's too expensive. And yeah, Jacobs got it. It's too expensive, and that effectively ruins it because he's Matthew Stafford, and he just, it's been a couple seasons since he broke the 20-point fantasy score barrier.
I mean, you have to remember too that this is the same Cardinals defense that Daniel Jones had a fantastic second half against too.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm always matchup driven.
How much
Well,
do we
it's a
hate
great
Josh
play.
Dobbs?
I told you. I tried to tell you, Geek. I really did.
You did warn me. Did he burn me last week? But what if he scored 2 touchdowns early and I'm going, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. I'm going to win $1 million. And then nothing happened.
I can't do it. I'm sorry. Where's
And
that unfriend you?
Geek, your Gardner call is so much better than Dobbs this week. I can't even.
Yeah.
There's not even a number behind it. It's so much better.
Yeah, no, it is. And of course, the Rams defense is fairly good, and it's on the road versus home. There's so many reasons. I like the Minshew play, and I actually think, BobbyWow, that you're multiple time mentioning that he used to be, or it was Sharp Burns mentioning that he used to be from Jacksonville, and I don't know about the familiar. I do think there's something to it. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about the running back position this week, guys. And you're seeing my live actual optimizer screen, so you could already kind of start to see which of the running backs I am going to be putting my emphasis on.
I'm looking for the David Montgomery. Where is that, Geek?
Well, I only found out the news about Gibbs recently,
Okay.
so we will be adjusting Montgomery appropriately as well.
Thank God we didn't see that here because it would have been glaring, Josiah.
Monty will be getting the upgrade as well. But I did not love. I don't think this is a great matchup for a player like Montgomery. If he was kind of splitting touches and in his usual role, even though Tampa is allowing a lot of fantasy points to opposing running backs on the season, they're not allowing a ton of yards. It's kind of a weird situation. But with no Gibbs, he's in line for another 30 touches. So you just got to play the guy, or 25 touches. I mean, just got to play the guy. So I'll be on him. I'm not on him on FanDuel. They priced him up a little too high for me on FanDuel, but let's talk through it. So one name that is popping on the projected ownership chart, but I think maybe a little bit sketch, or probably not the guy I want to chase if he's going to be chalk, is Josh Jacobs. BobbyWow, you're nodding your head. So the Patriots have been fairly good just at stopping fantasy production. Why would I load up on Jacobs when there are, I don't get it.
I don't get it either. Yeah, I'm more than okay allowing the field to chase that chalk if that's how it turns out, because the matchup isn't awesome. And Jacobs has been back to, Jacobs from previous years outside of last year. So I'm not interested in going there given where he's at in the price range as well. That boggles my mind.
And the ownership.
Agreed.
Yeah. I mean, the ownership's weird. And by the way, we haven't even really factored in Foreman and Chuba yet into this thing. Like, I don't know how you go core, but how do I go core? Because there's so many good running backs. So there are a lot of great running back plays this week. From a strategy perspective, can we agree another week like we did last week? We gave permission to everybody watch this show. We gave you permission. We said, how we always talked about wide receivers in the flex on DraftKings. Last week we had permission to put tight ends and running backs primarily in the flex. Can we do that again this week?
I think we can, but did you see last week that the Millie winner had the running back, like you mentioned, Geek, but then second place had 2 tight ends? That was crazy. Yep. That was a good call.
Mm-hmm.
It stood out last week. You could see it.
Yeah.
And it was hard to find talent at wide receiver that you're excited about, but the running backs were crazy good. I normally don't feel that way, but I do feel that way again this week. There's too many good running backs. So let's start at the top. Give me some core plays. Burns at running back. You're paying up. Where it's not really paying up. Just who you playing on a salary included. Who are your favorites?
I might be staying out of that 7K range and above this week. I mean, I don't know if I like any of those guys, even though Montgomery is going to be the volume machine this week for Detroit. He may be the only one, him and ETN. So everybody else is going to be a scrap heap for me out of that one. So I don't like any of the other running backs in the 7K range. To be honest with you, though, the guys that I'm going to probably gravitate towards most is Kyron Williams. I'm going to gravitate towards Swift, and I'm going to gravitate towards Raheem Mostert. And then I'll have below that, I'll have Mixon as well. So,
yeah, I like every single one of those, Burns. Those are pretty much the core. And now, I'm trying to think how I'm going to treat these cheapies. But BobbyWow, how do you deal with this? So obviously we have. I would assume you agree. Like Kyron Williams, great spot. I mean, you couldn't ask for more. Guy's getting a 90% touch share of the running back work for the Rams. Raheem Mostert, no backup in place, really. Salvin Ahmed, Mostert should do well here. I think he's going to be much higher owned than we suspect by the time it's all said and done. And Swift, I've been preaching this for the last 3 weeks that Swift is the starter. He's getting the 70% workload. So that is something you want on a team like the Eagles, and the Jets actually bleed points to running backs this year. So great spot for him. But where are you going beyond this group? Again, Burns mentioned Mixon, so we'll leave that aside. I think Mixon is more of a nice little kind of tournament play.
Yeah, I think the one guy that's kind of being forgotten about in this group so far, and also just based on ownership, is Alvin Kamara. We've been on him for the last couple of weeks, and he is a guy that is the king of the dump off pass. So on a site like DraftKings, where you get the full point PPR in a game that should be one of the better scoring games on the slate, and a game where the quarterbacks aren't afraid to pass the football, I love Kamara in this spot. I think he's going to go overlooked based on the names right around him. So if I'm in this 7K range, he's probably the first place that I'm going.
So many good running back plays. I did notice that the rookie, man, I can't remember his name, for the Saints, Kendre Miller, he did get a bunch of work last week, but I believe that work was in garbage time. So I'm not super worried about Kendre Miller taking the workload from Kamara here. My first glance was, Kendre, he caught the same or more passes as Kamara last week, but that was kind of a garbage time situation.
They won 34-0, I think, right? It was a shutout.
I think that game went into garbage time in like the second quarter. So yeah, it was really just a little bit of garbage time. So Kamara should be the lead. There's so many good plays. The running back position should be no problem. The only question for me this week, you mix these guys up. You mix up, and I'm just going to go over and I would include Travis Etienne in that mix as well. I think I'm probably going to get off Bijan until he gives me. I need him to do it once. I don't know that I want to keep getting on
over
Bijan.
that too.
Yeah.
Make him beat you once.
Yeah, let him beat me once, maybe, and then we'll jump on that. So I think there's so many good spots here. I'm full fading Christian McCaffrey. Sorry, it's not going to pay. I'm not going to pay up there for McCaffrey in a week where there's so much goodness down here. And then I think the 5 to 6K range is actually pretty weak, and I think this is also fadeable. Do you have somebody in here that you guys like? Because I think this whole 6 to 5 is pretty much no.
The one guy who's 5,600 is Madison that I'm on a good bit. I mean, we've been picking on these Bears all season. Sorry, Bobby, to keep rubbing it in, but I think it's still accurate here. The one concern with Madison is, of course, the split. We saw Akers see a small increase in on his on-field percentage last week. So I am starting to get a little nervous about that, but I'm going to be over the field on Madison. Hopefully his ownership falls a little bit.
Yeah, I like that. And Rachaad White, listen, I keep playing this dude. He's basically the same thing as Dameon Pierce. These guys are just not getting it done. And the lines are really good against the run. I'd probably go Dameon Pierce over Rashad White if you're forcing me to choose one, but I don't really think you need to go there.
Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
So the big ones, of course, down here we're gonna have Chuba Hubbard and D'Onta Foreman. Foreman at 4,400, guys. You're gonna be making a lineup, all right, tomorrow or Sunday, and you're gonna be like, oh man, I got 4,400 in the flex. You can start looking around and you can be like, oh shit, I got the full blast starter from Chicago. Well, not Chicago. I mean, yeah, you got the full blast Chicago. Now, one thing, here's an interesting thing I've noticed about Chicago. And Bobby, actually, I want your take on this. So we've had a couple of big weeks from Fields, but observationally, those weeks have come mostly from him throwing the football, meaning Fields is operating a little more like a traditional quarterback, even still, than what I would personally actually like to see. So do you think that leads to a more positive outcome for the running back in the sense that Fields is probably less likely in the current iteration and the way they're playing him to run and vulture all the touchdowns?
Yeah, I think so. We've seen it the last several weeks, I think, with the Bears running backs, where Khalil Herbert has put up really solid numbers in tandem with Justin Fields. Had he not gotten hurt last week, Herbert, he would have put up another high-scoring week. And so you look at a guy like Foreman, who's $4,400, and that to me, in conjunction with what we've seen so far, makes Foreman a very solid play. I'm not scared to play Foreman, if that's what you're asking this week.
Yeah, no, I think I'm more concerned if you're excited to play Foreman rather than scared. And it sounds like, so let me go around the room here and just one word, one name answer, guys. Hubbard or Foreman? Josiah?
Foreman, not even close.
Yeah.
Burns?
Yeah, I'll stick with Foreman.
And BobbyWow, Foreman. And I'm Foreman too. So it's funny because Foreman's projection hasn't quite updated yet, but Hubbard is projecting really well. But I think Foreman is going to be that guy that is going to show up in every optimized lineup by the time this is all said and done. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, agreed. Trash against the blitz. Get out of here. Come on, please.
All right. All right. Let's shift focus. Again, running back, I think is not going to be a difficult dilemma this week. Pick from these guys that we mentioned, and I think every single one of them is good. And
I think
we're three of them.
Kev, we're forgetting one guy, and I think he could he could explode again. He's exploded multiple times this year. We mentioned him yesterday. It's Kenny Walker in the Cincinnati game.
Oh yeah.
He blew up against Carolina about 2 or 3 weeks ago. So I could see him doing it again. Cincinnati's not a very good defense against the rush.
I think Kenny Walker is one of the more interesting players in the NFL because it's kind of been all or nothing with him. I think he's got 4 or 5 games in his career with 30 or more fantasy points, but every other game was under 20. Like he hasn't middled that at all. It's usually either like the standard 14, 15 that he gets because he doesn't get passing game work. So he needs basically, I did my note on Walker after we did our show, Burns.
Yeah.
And the note went like this. Kenny Walker is plus 550 to score 2 touchdowns in this game. That gives you an implied probability of approximately 12% of that happening. He will need the second touchdown in order to have, at the price that they have him listed at, he needs the second touchdown. 100 yards, that's 13. You get your first touchdown, that's 19. The second touchdown takes you to 26. He's almost 7K, and he does not catch a pass. So 2 touchdowns, 12% chance, which is approximately how frequently he's done it in his career. So it's perfectly the correct odds of it happening. But the matchup is very, very good. Bengals are actually quite bad against the run.
One more ask, just as a callback, Geek. Any interest in the Arizona Cardinals running back situation? Any Keontae this week with James?
No, I don't even know the Keontae. I love Keontae, and I have him on my season-long team. So one thing I'm going to tell everybody out there to do is get Keontae on your season-long teams. No
He's
one
cleared
is
to play.
aware. What's that?
He's cleared to play. He's going to play.
Cleared to play? Are you serious? You know, everybody's got that Emmanuel guy, and they think that is who's going to be the starter. I think we might be sipping Keontae.
Oh, baby.
Sipping Keontae on Sunday with this one. I need to know that he's fully clear. Not just clear, but it's not a good matchup for him anyway.
No,
like, I would love to wait till next week on this one. Maybe we'll wait till next week. But I did pick him up in season long everywhere. And people go pick up Keontae Amer. That is a guy you want on your team right now, because he's going to be he's the better running back. As long as Connor is out, he's going to be the guy in Arizona. It's not this other dude that played a little bit last week, or it's probably not.
I have trust issues. I don't trust any of the Cardinals running backs. I have no idea what they're doing, and I hate all of it. Anyway.
Well, you won't be sipping any Keontae with us, Josiah, okay?
Yeah, the Mercado guy, I am just okay, but I don't know. I'd rather have Keontae. Plus, Keontae won us a tournament last year.
That's why I mentioned it.
Yeah, he won us a tournament. I made I made a TikTok sipping Keontae.
It's one of Geek's best calls. That was so good.
That was glorious. It was a great showdown breakdown. All right, so let's talk the wide receiver position, NFL Week 6, right? Cooper Kupp, man, he's priced up.
Yeah.
Can you pay?
Yes.
You're going to do it?
Yes, absolutely. He almost paid off last week. That would have been huge for me.
Okay.
I think absolutely yes. I'm paying for it.
What about Puka? You could pay for both of them in the same team?
No.
It's Kupp over Puka.
1,000% for me.
Okay. All right. Looking at the upper echelon here, you know, Tyreek Hill, Josiah, he's going up against your boys over there. They don't need him. Miami
they don't need him. I also can't think of anyone who will be able to stop him, though. So it's like a double-edged sword. I'll be pretty heavy on Hill, but around field weight, around 18%.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I feel like Fields is just like in my mix. I think he's probably going to get another 30, just because that's what he always does.
Yeah, and Waddle's definitely viable here as well. I think out of these like top tier guys, like Chase is the one that I'm kind of putting a stand on that I'll be over the field on. Kind of like
everybody wants to be over the field on Chase. Chase is, I mean, where are we at here? Look at this. Are you shitting me? I don't believe it again. So I think Chase should be the most expensive.
Yeah, that's why.
Or the highest owned. Right now, it's showing that Tyreek will be a little above. I don't know if I buy it. I think Chase should be the highest owned expensive wide receiver. Mm-hmm. Let me ask you guys though from here. So, you know, in my order of goodness, I'd probably go Chase, you know, including salary included. Chase gets the vaunted 100. This should not be ignored, guys. When you see the 100, that is as good as it gets. Like if a player has 100 rating, they're in a superb spot. They are a superb value. Why is it 100 rating? The DVP numbers, this is a measure of defense. This is a measure of value. It takes everything into account, and he's the best play on the slate. Will he do it? I don't know.
That is what I call a Jesus burning bush moment. When you see 100 rating on there, you listen.
Yeah, which is why you should join DFS Army so you can see who else has a 100-point rating,
or just watch these videos. Apparently, because we give it all away. So. But he's the guy. I don't know if Higgins will play this week. So we'll see about that. I don't know if T. Higgins is playing. I feel like if T. Higgins is playing, it does make me like Chase just a touch less.
I'm hoping the ownership just comes down because I think Chase is a great play either way.
Mm-hmm.
But,
agreed.
Yeah, T's scary.
Hoping he plays for that reason.
Yeah, exactly.
Is Geek on mute?
Geek, are you muted? I don't even see the mute button.
No, he's not. We can't hear you though, man.
Oh shit! I knocked my cord out.
Okay.
So excited about the 100 rating.
Yeah, I knocked my cord out. How was that? That was a first. All right. So what I was saying is, anybody else in the upper echelon of the wide receiver group, what you could see on screen here. So all the way from 9 down to the upper 7s, where you feel like I want to be heavy on this guy above the field. I'm interested in this guy. Anything. Let's go around the room here. And again, we're in the upper zone. We already said we like Tyreek, we like Cooper, and we love Chase. Great. What else up here is of interest? I'll start with you, Burns.
Oh, man. I wish you wouldn't have started with me, but okay. This is a tough week for the.
You don't have to like anybody. You could say, you know what? You nailed it. I don't need anybody. After Chase Hill, I am paying down. This is not where I'm spending my money.
To be honest with you, it's a tough week. It's a tough week for the high salaried guys outside of the ones we just touched on. Devontae Adams going against New England. That's such a difficult matchup. Like AJ Brown's in a difficult matchup going against the Jets. Amon-Ra against Tampa Bay. It's tough. These are tough matchups for these guys. I think you just have to stick to Hill, Kupp, Chase, Nakua, and call it a day on the top echelon price guys.
Puka. There you go. And there's no need. We're not forcing it in here. If there's no one, there's no one. Josiah, anyone else up here like Devontae Adams? I guess.
No, I love the mid range this week. I'm not really paying up outside of stacks.
BobbyWow.
I think Jalen Waddle is really the only other place I would look if you were trying to pivot from Tyreek. Otherwise, nope, same for me.
Yeah, I feel that. I'm not getting on the Eagles wide receivers here. Not super interested. Amon-Ra has been sort of out of sight, out of mind for a few weeks, and he's always awesome when he plays, for whatever that's worth. So, I don't know that I'll be specifically targeting him. If I was interested in a Eagles wide receiver, this is a Devontae Smith type of week for me because the Jets will cover AJ Brown just fine with Sauce. So it'll be Smith, not or even Goddard, I think, over Brown in that situation, or just like Swift anyway. So, all right, let's go down to the middle zone here. And I think this is where we're going to eat a little bit. I'm already seeing some names that I'm really excited about. Of course, DJ Moore. That's a. You know what? I've got a strategic thought here that I had. Again, I'm going to my notes and what I was writing up, and now I want your guys' takes to make sure. Maybe I'll delete it from my notes, but I don't think so. I liked it. So I was thinking about the fact that I'm going to have a lot of Fields this week, and I really like DJ Moore. I like him as a standalone play, but then I said to myself, if Fields is stinking it up, basically not if Fields is sticking it up. If Moore is doing enough to help me win a tournament this week, Fields is going to be the nuts quarterback. So why bother playing DJ Moore if I don't have Fields at the helm? So I think this is a way to avoid if it blows up and Fields just doesn't have the good week, then DJ Moore probably, I would say, almost certainly not having a good enough week to help me win the million. Therefore, why not just have DJ? As much as I like DJ Moore as an all formats play, why not just constrain him to, for me, what would be maybe 20% of my lineups that will have Fields in it?
He's too cheap, Geek. He's not expensive enough to have to constrain yourself like that. To me, we don't need a 50 out of DJ Moore for him to find the optimal lineup. And so that means, out of a Fields that's more expensive than he has been, we don't necessarily need, 4 touchdowns out of Justin Fields for DJ Moore to be in the optimal. So I'm decoupling them still for this week just because his price point has not gone up enough to warrant otherwise.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm not as high.
Stacked as well, but I'm just not forcing the stack.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not as high on Fields as you guys, but I do still like the spot for DJ Moore.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Yeah, it's a good point and good to know. I do like Brandon Powell as well. So we're going to get to that in the cheapie zone, but let's stick in this zone here because we're in the middling range, and I think there's a couple other names that I'm interested in, and then a bunch of names that I'm super not interested in. So I love living in the negative. I don't know why, but where am I negative? maybe Higgins. Actually, I don't think I want Ayuk or Debo here. I don't think this is the spot for those guys. I definitely don't want Garrett Wilson. I think the Jets are going to get destroyed. I've already bet. You know, the line on that game is bizarre. What the hell's going on? Why are the Eagles only favored by 7? Am I tripping? No?
I'm glad you already are negative on one of the guys I like this week. I'll just go ahead and wait.
Are you? So I do like Myers, but I don't like Cooper. So I'm out on a lot of the. I'm certainly out on Cooper. A lot of these guys are unplayable. I don't really think I'm going to play Metcalf. And his 6 targets, it doesn't excite me. I don't need 6 targets for 7K. If I want 6 targets, I can pay 3K for that. And that's what DK Metcalf gets. He gets 7 or 8, 6, 7. It's not doing it for me, guys. So tell me where I'm wrong, Josiah. I know you're jumping out of your chair. Tell me where I'm wrong, but like those guys, I don't. On the positive side, again, I like Pittman because of the Gardner Minshew thing. But for the rest of the zone, and then I'm not even going to mention Thielen because I don't know what to do with that.
Yeah, no, I get that. For me, it's the guy right above Thielen, Garrett Wilson. You know, the Eagles have not been great against the pass this year. They've been great against the run. I think this is a spot where Garrett Wilson could be super low owned and sneaky. Or actually, I'm wrong. Actually, the Jets have been great against the pass, really bad against the run. But Slay is out. And so I think that will have an impact on the Eagles' defense and their defensive backs. And so I think this could be a really sticky spot for Garrett Wilson, who I already kind of view as matchup proof. It's just, will Wilson be able to get him the ball this week? I'm going
to just give you the heads up that Wilson will not be able to get him the ball. He sucks. And Zach Wilson sucks. And if he goes up against a good defense, much like Daniel Jones against a good defense, there are certain teams where if the opponent's defense is above average, you really don't want to mess with them. There are a few teams like that. I'm going to put the Jets on that list, but I am absolutely biased. I need your guys' takes on this because I do have a personal bias here against my beloved.
I relate to that. I relate to that.
I feel that on a spiritual level. Yeah.
I would definitely play it like in season long. If I had to make this decision, I'm playing Jacoby over Garrett Wilson all day. No,
which is no, it's true. It's just painful. It's crazy.
Yeah,
but it's true. Yeah,
wild.
Can I talk about another bias?
No one else has to like Wilson. I know it's a little bit of a wild play, but I'll take it.
That person got 16th place despite Zach Wilson, not because of him, in spite of him. Technically, what happened last week was Wilson cost somebody $1 million last week. That's what actually happened in that matchup. Let's get it right. It was in spite of Zach Wilson that lineup made it there. But I love that. What was that? Dixon Sider is watching all of our stuff because that was something I think that came up Burns on our breakdown the other day. So thank you for watching. And on that note, hit that like, subscribe, notify, share with your friends, do all the YouTube stuff for us, please. Hit those buttons. Just hit the buttons on the screen.
I have a few more wideouts for you, Geek. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. You can beat up this Lions defense as well. They're both extremely low owned. Godwin saw an insane amount of targets last week. They weren't great targets, though. So, take it as you will. But I always attack these bad matchups. And so for me, it's Evans, Godwin, and Wilson. That's kind of like my sneaky wideouts this week.
Do we think that Evans is playing?
Well, if he plays, I mean,
what if he doesn't play?
I think he's going to play.
Yeah,
you think Evans is going to play? All right, everybody thinks he's going to play. Okay, all right. Let's scroll down a little bit to where we're probably going to be setting up shop this week in sort of the mid zone, and I think Jordan Addison stands out. I think it's going to be super high owned. Jordan Addison is in my first look lineup that I put together on Tuesday. I love the extra targets to go around for almost all of the Vikings wide receivers. Addison's going to be super high owned in this zone. I like a lot of these names. Christian Kirk. Anytime Zay Jones has been out for the Jaguars, it's helped Christian Kirk. Like, he is directly benefiting. He's on the field the whole game. Zay Jones is going to be out again this week. I didn't mention that because that doesn't seem like a big headline at the beginning. He will be out again this week. So that's another one in this zone that I love. I love these guys. I think Jacoby Myers is very playable. Revenge narrative. Also against a Patriots team that's likely to focus on taking Devontae Adams out of that game. So let's go around this one. Bobby, I'll start with you this time. I mentioned a couple of names here. There are definitely some other sexy targets in this area. Who are you looking at that I didn't mention?
Yeah, I think kind of starting at the top, just a little bit above where you're scrolled at. Michael Pittman is going to be a big target of mine. Probably one of the higher priced wide receivers I'll be targeting. Minshew is a big plus for Michael Pittman. And so I love the matchup, and I love ping-ponging Pittman with Christian Kirk, who I think Christian Kirk from a fantasy perspective is essentially the same person as Calvin Ridley. So anytime there's a big price difference between those two guys, I'm going to the lower priced option. Christian Kirk is a awesome price on DraftKings this week. And that, I think the one thing I wanted to mention about bias is I am so biased against Adam Thielen. It's unbelievable. And even still, this week, I'm breaking the bias. Bryce Young likes Adam Thielen for whatever reason. He is a magnet for the football. I am going to play some Adam Thielen this week. If he burns me, you know what? I'm proud of myself for removing the bias, but he has been such a key component for Bryce Young. As bad as Bryce has been, he's been the bright spot, Adam Thielen. So I think he's the other guy I'm looking at that you haven't mentioned in this range.
It is difficult for me. I was purposely skipping him.
I get it.
Wait, Bobby, do you have any interest in Chark? I know you're playing a little bit of Young.
I can't get to Chark. That's another bias of mine that we can talk about on another podcast. So no, I'm not. I prefer Thielen over Chark for sure.
Yeah, it's interesting just because I think this team's going to be down. Like, I think the Panthers are going to be down a lot. I can see them really trying to air it out and get Chark involved this week. So I have a little bit of interest in him just because of that. But that's about it.
All right. Burns, take me through the mid zone here. Mm-hmm. There are definitely some wide receivers we haven't talked about. Marquise Brown, Terry McLaurin's in this zone. Nico Collins, tough matchup. But normally I'd be all over Nico Collins here. What do you say, Burns?
Yeah, I agree with a lot of these takes. Pittman is a great call with Minshew. Minshew can air it out. I actually like Downs a little bit more than Pittman this week.
I like the price on Downs.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that. And I also like the fact that Downs and him had a great rapport in Baltimore. Downs actually had more targets than Pittman in that game by one. It was 12-11. Downs did more with him in that game as well. So I do like Downs in that game a lot more. I'm gravitating more towards Kirk in my builds with Lawrence. I think it's just, it leads to a better build overall. It's more flatlined. I like my flatline builds a lot more than I like the peaks and the valleys of them. That's probably why I won't have a lot of high-priced wide receivers this week. I just like those flatline builds. The
whole
other guys in this range
very leveled off when you consider all the running backs kind of middling priced as well.
Yeah, for sure. Other guys in this range, KJ Osborne, he's a pretty good play at the 4,400 mark. Even though I do like Hawkinson better in this game, I think Hawkinson's going to get the run. I think it's Hawkinson or Addison, and then everybody else. And then another guy that'll go, I think he's going to go much lower owned than he is right now. But I do like Geno Smith, and I like pairing him up with Tyler Lockett this week. I think Lockett is the guy that's going to get all the targets in this game. Though DK Metcalf might get the touchdown, it'll be Lockett with all the targets. So
I love the Lockett call there. I think it's super GPP-ish. And I like that because we are talking about tournaments here and we're trying to win some tourneys. we're scrolling our way down in the salary zone.
I have one more guy geek in this range. Unless he was mentioned, I forgot about it. But Drake London, I think I'm a matchups guy. I think this is a soft matchup against the Commanders, who have just allowed a lot of points. So I got distracted by that message, and I'm totally off my game now. But I do like London here too.
Yeah, I London is so sneaky, man. I love that you called him out. I was really hoping somebody was going to mention him because he is just really, really, really sneaky.
Yeah.
No one's going to play London, but that is a good spot for a passing offense. Washington is very much like going to funnel you to their pass defense is not good. I should have I do have the stat. Man, I do have the sheet open.
It's a great call, Josiah. I love the London call.
I love the support, but believe it or not, Philadelphia's defense has been worse against the pass and the wideout position than Washington.
Washington allowing, not as bad as I thought. They are allowing 13 yards above mean expectation. So effectively, they're just neutral on the season. If you go by this sort of, I think this is the least biased.
We're so biased against Justin Fields. People just assume that because he pops off, the other defense must be bad against the pass. Come on now.
Well, no, this is just math. Fields sucked the first 3 weeks, so we can't deny that he was terrible. In Chicago, they were calling for his head. They were like, "Oh, trade him to the Jets." And in week 3, Fantasy Receipts was out there ripping on all analysts. You guys know who that is, right? Fantasy Receipts is like a great account actually on Twitter. Recommend him. But he calls out all the bad takes. He never positive, only bad takes. And so he was already calling out all the "you should draft Fields. He's going to be great this year" takes. And I actually chimed in there, and I was like, "Bro, you're a little soon on this one. You're too early on the receipt for that one." And it did.
You have his receipt now. Yeah.
Yeah.
You got his receipts.
I'm saving that. I'm going to do that. No, I'm waiting for another week or two because I don't want it to blow back in my face. But once I feel like the Fields is good thing is solidified, I am going to fantasy receipt his ass, and it's going to be
Let's go. I love that, man.
I've been waiting on this. I've got it saved. Don't worry, that's happening. But the cheap zone, guys, I've got a couple of gems down here. And actually, the chat mentioned a few of them, which makes me think I'm not that sneaky anymore because I thought they were better than maybe they are. But we mentioned Josh Downs. This dude got 11 or 12 targets from Gardner Minshew in the first game that they played together this year. So that is awesome at 4,100. Let's go sub 4,100 and the WR3 for the Minnesota Vikings. Brandon Powell. Okay. This dude saw 6 targets last week. After Jefferson came out of the game, he stone min 3K.
Yep.
That's a spot. I want to attack that spot all day. That's great. Yep. There's another one down here who's I can't even remember. Who was my other one? That's why I write it up. And John Mechie's another one. I think this one's super sneaky, guys. I want your take on this. John Mechie. So Tank Dell's going to be out. Mm-hmm. We never talked about Nico Collins. No one mentioned him as a play. Nico Collins is awesome. Why didn't we mention him as a play? Because I think we all kind of think that Marshawn Lattimore is going to shut him down. Am I wrong, Burns?
It's very possible.
At least that's kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah, we talked about Mechie yesterday, so
yeah, and
I'll let you go with it.
You mentioned it, and then I was like, oh. So what do you think about Mechie here, guys? Coming off of basically the story with Mechie is he had lymphoma. Yeah. He went through it. The team drafted him knowing he had that. So he's been working his way back. He's over the cancer, thank goodness. And he's working his way back this season. He's getting more and more snaps each week. Manny's mentioning Noah Brown. That could be the way it goes. By the way, you could be right. I think it's a thinner play, for example, than the Brandon Powell play. But what about Mechie?
That's one of those emotional hedge plays for me, where even if he does bad, I'm just happy that he's starting. So I'm okay taking some shots at it. I'm not excited about it. I think, you got Bobby Treeser, who's probably still going to play, who just he kills me no matter whether I play him or not. And Nico Collins. So I don't know. I like the call. I think it's an interesting GPP play, but probably not. I like Downs and Johnson better, I think.
You know what's crazy about Bobby Trees, BobbyWow?
Talk to me.
Trees has been he's literally averaging 9 targets a game.
I know.
And he's literally 3,800. And all of us are like, I don't really like him. You know what I mean? Like, why don't we love him? Why is he scoring
bias.
so little?
For me, it's
so
bias.
Targets.
No, he doesn't do anything with them.
He doesn't do anything with the targets. It's torture.
God.
He gets
for me, I just don't like picking on these Saints. Like, this Saints defense has been solid this year, and it's just not my favorite attack with this Houston offense that still has some question marks. I'm not completely sold on it yet, like a lot of people are. So that's just kind of why I'm not super high on it, but I get it. I think it's fine to have exposure to it.
I like it. All right, let's talk tight end real quick, and we'll shift gears here. High end, medium, low once again. And let's just go through it, guys. I'm going to start with you this time, BobbyWow. Give me 3. Try to go high, medium, low. 3 that you're into this week. Why?
I'm gonna probably go. I'll go Hawkinson high. I think that we've talked about being able to exploit the Bears through the air. I think Hawkinson's in a great spot. He should see increased targets without Justin Jefferson in the mix. He's the top dog for me. Cole Kmet is probably in the middle range. He's relatively safe. We can count on him. He's reliable target for Fields. I think he's a good cash play at that price. So he's probably the middle guy for me. And then I don't mind going down and paying down for a guy like Kyle Pitts this week. I think we've started to see him slowly. Maybe there's some light at the end of the tunnel. So if I'm trying to get that higher ceiling at that cheapest price, Kyle Pitts is probably that lower tier guy for me.
Yeah. Man,
there's a chance.
He had a good week last week. Him to put 2 good ones in a row that would be pretty wild.
Can you imagine, like a year ago, week 1 last season, someone says Kyle Pitts it's 3,500 on DraftKings? You would have lost your mind. It's been such a fall from grace.
There was never really grace. I think he's always been potential and he's been unactualized potential for his entire career. I think I was screaming about him being like the most overpriced, ridiculous numbered tight end for like an entire season. And I never played him once because it was just like, why this guy's putting up 4s and he's at 5K. Like, they priced him on reputation, not production. I don't like that.
The same price as Jonnu Smith. I mean, come on, that's too disrespectful.
You know what's sad? Like, Jonnu Smith is almost projecting better than him too. It's not like it's not.
I'm pretty sure he's beat him most weeks, so
yeah,
it's not the wildest thing.
Josiah, high, medium, low at the tight end position.
Yeah, high like everyone else will be. I'm on Hawkinson here. Hard to get away from him. Medium, Evan Ingram. I like this spot for him against this Colts team. I like this game environment. I like the Jags all around this week. And then another chalky play for me here, Zach Ertz. He's just in another really good spot. I'm going to play him. He sucks, though, but I'm going to play him.
Hunter's asking why the rating. No one actually knows the formula that goes into the rating. I don't know why the rating of Evan Ingram is so high. But it's a magical only Jesus knows. But you should not question this. You should accept it, embrace it, and that's it. One would think that Evan Ingram without Zay Jones there, it's one less guy to command a target. I don't know. BobbyWow, I don't know. I don't know what goes into these numbers, but somehow
only Jesus knows.
Only Jesus knows. At this point, it's legit only Jesus knows, because I could get into some back end stuff of when I designed these formulas a couple of years ago and kind of don't fully remember everything that is in the formula. But at the time, I felt really good about it. So
yeah, the loaves and fishes, Hunter. No one made that. Didn't make sense. No one questioned it though. Okay.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Why frankincense and myrrh? why not rosemary and thyme?
Sometimes
And
it
when
is
you
what it
back
is.
tested this summer, the ratings stood out as like a clear correlation between winning
Yeah.
lineups. So
Yeah.
there's that too.
Exactly. That's part of it.
But it is Mega Royal. No, let me come on. There's I mean, it's because he's a high value. Like there's an actual reason of this. He's just a high value player, and probably that defense is not very good against tight ends. You know, there's a reason for it. So Burns, high, medium, low at the tight end position.
Yeah, I'm not going to touch base on Hawkinson. It's already been touched. I think a super slim play, though. We touched on it yesterday, and I called it out yesterday. It's a super slim play, but Cleveland is very good to the wide receiver position. They're not very good to the tight end position. They're actually very porous against the tight end position. They're very bad over the middle of the field in deep passing situations. And I could see Kittle getting loose multiple times in this game at 5K. I'll take my shots there. Low or medium range, I like Logan Thomas this week again. He's getting the targets. I think they're going to load up on McLaurin in this game with the young corner, AJ Terrell. So it's going to just be like, oh man, McLaurin's going to be taken out of this game. So it's going to be either him or it's going to be like a Jahan Dotson or Curtis Samuel in this game, in addition to Logan Thomas, where I could see that they're going to get the targets instead of McLaurin. But a super low punt guy, I think he's in and around about 2,600. And he's actually in a pretty good spot. Is Gesicki out in Las Vegas with New England at 2,600? I'll take my shots. But these are super slim plays. I wouldn't go overboard with these plays at all. But I also do like Cade Otton as well in that Tampa Bay game. We talked about him.
I have to say, guys, as I sit here and read our comment section is as entertaining as the show itself.
It's
if you're just here reading the comments along with it, it is a show in its own, and it's really good. So kudos, good job, guys. 231 of you watching live. That's awesome. So for me, I think Logan Thomas is the best play at tight end this week, just of anything. So that would be my top guy. Of course, I like to pay down at tight end, so that's why it's a cost effective thing. But this dude had 11 targets last week. He was everywhere. Now, keeping in mind that Logan Thomas gets hurt 40% of the time in game. So you are at a high risk of in-game. I would say he's the highest in-game injury risk of any player in the NFL, including running backs.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah, especially if you want to play him.
Yeah.
I want to argue you on that, but you're so right. It's just too true.
Ja Jaquim's wife's boyfriend recommended the show, and we appreciate that. Let him know we say thank you. So we appreciate
the best. Oh man.
I love I love Logan Thomas, but I am aware. By the way, this is another thing I want to mention. This is the time of the season for in-game injuries. Like you got to be careful at any player. And when I'm talking about any player, like you can't really go 70%. If you're making 150, if you're doing MME, I don't care. Like we don't cost shame anybody. Play the nickel, the dime. I don't care what it is. But if you're playing 150, you probably shouldn't go in like a running back in the greatest spot in the world can get hurt in game. This is the time of year where that starts to really kick up a little bit. You know, they're banged up going in, and next thing you know. So that is, I don't know how you deal with that in terms of like a DFS strategy, but I'm just saying it does happen. And like we load up on Logan Thomas, you know he's getting knocked out of the game. It's just that's what Logan Thomas does. He if you have too much of him, be wary. Any interest? No one mentioned Dallas Goedert's coming off the game of the year. The Jets can stop wide receivers. This could be another Dallas Goedert spot. No one mentioned that. I do like Dallas Goedert in that situation. He's a little pricey, but not too bad. Similarly with Kittle, I'm not going to go crazy with Kittle, but I think there's a sneaky version of the way the slate plays out where Kittle winds up with a decent game. Thoughts there?
Yeah, I think Bernsey covered that one, right? Kittle being a solid play.
Yeah.
I think it's deceiving this week. You got no Kelsey and no Mark Andrews. So really, below Hawkinson, these tight ends are really inexpensive, especially when you match them up against some of the wide receiver plays. So I think, Dallas Goedert's firmly in play at that price based on what he did last week in the matchup. So I think any one of those guys in the zone, you can make an argument for at their price.
Yeah. Now, this is not a guy I want to play this week, but did you guys see the picture of David Njoku with his face all burned up? What happened to him?
That was crazy.
What happened? Do we know what happened to him?
It was like he was trying to start a bonfire or some sort, right?
Yeah.
He's starting a bonfire? And how did the flames get in his face? He's pouring lighter fluid on the bonfire?
You know how you get, like, have you ever had that fire? Like, you start the bonfire and you're like, you feel powerful, you feel like something's going on, you want to make it bigger, and
you spray lighter fluid on it?
Then it flashes.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I'm too scared of any of that shit. I'm not getting there.
Me neither. Me neither. Same.
I have friends who do it for me.
Yeah. What? I've started a bonfire. It's like throw the match, and like I'm not spraying fucking lighter fluid on a fire. The hell is that? Really
I stick with a solo stove, man. I don't get with that shit.
Yeah.
Oh,
this is not double TE.
Easy bake oven.
Stick with running back in the flex. I'm going to make you money this week by giving you that advice. No 2 tight ends this week, guys. We are going back to running back only in the flex, running back or wide receiver, DraftKings, but mostly running back. That's how I'm doing.
Too shallow to do double tight end this week.
Yeah, it's not a good. Last week we could pull it off. This week is not a good week for it. All right, defense. There's some sexy defenses that I could pay up for. Okay. There are quarterbacks who are not playing. But we also need to find pay down options. So let's talk defense, guys. And without getting too crazy or wordy, because we're long enough into this one, I'm just going to start it off by saying, play the 49ers, right? They're going up against a garbage quarterback. Play the Eagles. These high-priced defenses these top 3 look very good to me. I'm going to give it the top 3. So I'm not even going to take them out. I think that the 49ers are the best. Eagles would be second for me, and Raiders third. Any other, do you guys disagree at all, or would that be your orders? Just thumbs up, like that same order.
Yeah. I mean, this is the week to pay up. You'll have the money to do it.
I don't think you can exclude Atlanta out of that either.
We have seen Washington, play poorly, and
I mean, Washington gave up 32 DraftKings points to Buffalo, and they gave up 17 to Arizona in the week 1. Just saying.
So I like that. Too. Even Dolphins, okay.
I mean, I didn't want to be the one to say it, but watching Bryce Young is painful. It's interception after interception, it's fumble after fumble, pick 6. I'm going to be so over on the Dolphins, but they're also the super chalk this week too. So it's not.
He's going to get better. No, I don't think it should be the Dolphins. It should be the 49ers at this point, and I think that will change. But not chalk, because no one wants to pay $4K for defense. It's hard. I never play $4K for defense. Taylor Swift likes tight ends. I'm saying. So let's say we're not playing those guys, right? On lineups when we have to pay down, and this is where I want to talk. So BobbyWow, if I'm paying down on defense, I'm listen, I know that 49 is great, but I have 3K, I have less than 3K. 3,100. Yeah. I don't have the money. Give me some safety. Where can I go that I have a chance?
Two memory hooks this week for me, okay? The first memory hook, 3 RB. We talked about it, 3 running backs. Second memory hook, pay down, give me the Browns. That's where I'm going on defense.
That flowed so well. Like, pay down, play the Browns.
I love that it's called a memory hook. And that's fun.
You won't forget it.
Yeah. I have a hard time believing the Browns are going to do anything other than not give you a minus score.
I mean, they're priced. It's a punt, Geek. They're 2,200, but this is gonna be a slow paced, brutal game. So you get a turnover from Purdy, you get lucky. Maybe 49ers only get a handful of possessions. That's my thought process behind it.
It's so gross. What about you? What it is? It's gross. Listen, I'm not saying
it's nasty. It's really gross.
What about the Cardinals? I could see the Bucs and the Cardinals.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to X them out. I'm not going to unfriend them. Matthew Stafford can be sacked. I don't like it. Bears, BobbyWow?
I can't speak. I'm too biased.
Burns, Bears?
No. But I'll give you a one that's around 3K that I'll be loading up on is the Bengals this week.
The Bengals. Okay.
Bengals and probably Detroit and going against Pick Mayfield.
One I like in that range too is the Vikings. I'm pretty over on them right now. Justin Fields has been throwing, and I don't trust him to throw, and so I'm hoping for some turnovers there.
Yeah, Viking. You could play teams against the Bears. Sorry, BobbyWow, but you can, and I really like the Lions call. I wasn't really thinking that way, but yeah, the Lions defense has been pretty good, and again, these are those road defenses that you never feel that great about. To be honest with you,
I like the Lions call.
Yeah, that one does make a little bit of sense. We Patriots at all? Raiders kind of suck.
Jimmy G stinks. I'm gonna say this every week. That dude stinks at quarterback. I don't care how good he looks, Geek. He's a bad football player.
He is handsome though.
He's handsome.
Oh no.
You hear Marvel's got him
Oh no.
The DC's got him set up for the next Superman movie.
and Burns, to your point too, the Bengals. I love that call. Geno Smith, is he back to being Geno again, guys, or is he still good?
I think he's okay.
Well, he hasn't had like a gonna win you a tournament performance so far. He's been less productive than he was last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know what that that's just noise. It means nothing, but it's just what it was. But yeah, I think some of these defenses are good. I think the Lions are deceptively a good defense.
Yes.
That's why I really like that call, because it's not just dealing with, hey, anything. They're deceptively good. I think the Bengals defense has not been good, but they're at home
though.
And Seattle can implode on the road. Seattle's worse on the road than at home.
Yeah, but they got a couple of guys back though that weren't with them in the prior weeks. Yep. Cincinnati, so they're going to be better. Trust me on that one.
A couple good spots. Yeah, I think that's going to do it, guys. I think we covered just about everything I wanted to cover. I think we got a good baseline for how to attack this slate. BobbyWow, what are the rules of thumb / mental notes again? We're
memory
going
hooks.
Memory
3
hooks.
RB, 3 RB,
RB in the flex, guys.
Paying down, give me the Browns.
But try to pay up instead and actually get the 20-pointer.
Yeah, that memory hook might be too good. That second one. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I'm going to add in the memory hook.
3 RB.
Also, try to save the money by playing D'Onta Foreman, and that allows you the extra 2K to go from the defense that's going to get you a 3 to a defense that's going to get you potentially a 15 to 20.
There we go.
You know what my memory hook is? Looking at my lineups last week and realizing that I didn't have the Saints, and that's why I ain't winning shit.
Should have played them, man.
We need a memory hook segment. That does not qualify, Geek, just so you know.
I told you on Thursday to play him.
Work
Geek.
on that.
I know you told me to play him. It makes me even because I didn't memory hook it.
I told you to play them. I
forgot to memory hook it, and then I made one with the Saints, and it crushed.
We need a memory hook from everyone.
Best lineup.
Well, I told you to play Saints, Pittsburgh, and Jets, and that's all you needed.
Which 3 am I playing this week, Burns?
I gave them to
you. Which 3? All right, we're just paying up this week. All right, guys, that's going to do it for another week of Tournament Tactics. We appreciate you guys being here with us. Hit that like button. If you're not signed up at DFS Army, I've been talking about this all week, but there's going to be people who have missed it. We have the free month. Oh, you can't see it on screen. Great. I can't even see it on screen. But we got a little button up top here that says free month offer, and you click it, and you can get a free month of DFS Army VIP, get access to the cheat sheets. BobbyWow's putting cheat sheets together for showdowns. You got Burns, the Shark Lab article, VIP only, goes through his process, the math, gives you the top plays, the Saints, all those. I mean, the defense, just that alone, it's worth the price of the subscription. We're starting up NBA. We just started up NFL, and I've just added a feature to the Domination Station stacking system. Going live next week, but we are testing it this weekend. That is a game changer. You talk about lineups that are built to look like actual games happening and winning teams and all of that. This takes us one more step in that direction. It is going to be spectacular. I can't wait. I'm actually using it this weekend, by the way. I am playing my game with the new stacking or the new if-then statement rule, so to speak. I'm going to test it out in my own play. So hopefully that'll work out. And like I said, we're going to launch that on Monday. So the most Deezus. We say let Deezus take the wheel, but the optimizer is actually the most flexible and the most controllable and the most customizable, I believe, that there is. You know, at
it's
me
only
if
getting
I'm
better.
wrong. Yeah, at me if I'm wrong, but that's where we play. That's where we see all these takedowns week after week after week. Our pricing is literally half the price of other sites that have an optimizer, and certainly an optimizer not as good as ours. So we keep it for the everyman. We want you in DFS Army. Get signed up. Do the free month. We don't mind. I don't look at you different when you come in for the freebie. Matter of fact, I love it. Get on in there. I don't look at you different. You know, you feel weird when you go into a store and you have a coupon. You're like, you almost don't want to give it to them. You know, I feel embarrassed a little bit, like, I got a coupon, right? We don't look at you. That's not how we do it. We love it. We appreciate it. Get on in there and hang with the crew. We will see you guys next week on another Tournament Tactics. Good luck, everybody.